Hi, welcome to this chat. I'm Katrina, and today I'm talking to Diane Landy from ManaWāhineKōrero, which in English translates to Sovereign Women Speak. Di is a leading figure in organising the Let Women Speak rallies here in New Zealand, in Albert Park, Auckland at 11 a.m. on 25th of March, and in Civic Square, Wellington at 2 p.m. on 26th of March. These details will also be in the description below, so they can be checked out for anyone who wants to attend, and we're hoping that many women attend. So, Di, give us a bit of a rundown about what ManaWāhineKōrero are doing with the Let Women Speak rallies, why you got involved, etc., etc.
Oh, geez, thanks for having me, Katrina. It's really good. ManaWāhineKōrero got involved because we, wanted to showcase New Zealand in a real sense, not a token sense, and that's by manaakitanga. This is what all New Zealanders, whether you're Māori or not, we have to show our international guests manaakitanga. So, I picked up the baton and ran with it, and thankfully a few other women come along, and it's MWK and Lout, and yourself, Katrina, and a couple of other women. We're the core. And so, we're just going hammer to tongs to get this sorted. It's a wonderful opportunity. I've been really saddened to see the hoodwinking of my people. This trans love severs whakapapa. It severs whānau. And it colonises our unborn, our present, and our future. And that is the most gutting thing to me. But to have an international speaker of renown come here and to be able to help organise it, like I say, and to showcase New Zealand with manaakitanga, I believe it's the least I could do, because we are finally going to rip the scab off here.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's going to be great. And what's manaakitanga?
Manaakitanga is like hospitality.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, hospitality. So what's that, me casa, my casa or something? My castle's your castle, or it's through a lot of cultures. We call it manaakitanga, but there's a lot of other cultures that have this very same concept, but call it different stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, she's absolutely welcome here, absolutely. And we know that the Rainbow Greens have written a letter to the Immigration Minister Michael Wood to say revoke her visa. And actually, we haven't actually mentioned her name yet, Kellie-Jay Keen from Standing
AKA
in the UK.
Posey Parker. I'm so proud to be standing beside her. I'm really humbled to be doing this work with the other woman, and we're just going hard out. It's an amazing feeling that as the time's getting closer, the excitement is building.
Yeah.
It's really wonderful. And, I'm actually really appalled with this purist politics. We're at a time where no one will touch anyone against the rainbow. Not one news outlet, not one politician, nothing. We have been blacklisted. And so when we do get an interview, and it happens to be, say, perhaps a right-wing news place.
I know, shock horror.
Shock horror, we're suddenly a right-wing bigot.
Yeah.
Well, this purity stuff is just time-wasting and lies.
Yeah. I mean, I'm appalled too. I'm appalled at the lack of backbone.
Yes.
We've got a couple, there are, a handful of reporters and journos around who want to report on it and stuff, but their editors won't let them. They won't publish anything that they report. I mean, it's, going back, you know what it's always like when you start harking back to the old days and stuff like that, you get a bit of stick about that. But, they did used to have some backbone once. I mean, they were hard once, these journalists and reporters. They were hard. They fronted up. They went into the deep, dark, places, and not that we're deep and dark, but they weren't afraid. and that
No,
is just we've lost that.
we have, I call them the faux estate now, because they used to be the fourth estate, and they had a responsibility to be honest and truthful. Now it's just the FAUX estate, you know, the MSM, you know, this is a medical movement that is irreversibly harming people. It's tearing families apart. And KJK doing what she does is given women who would quite happily be retired, sitting in their garden, sipping whatever they sip. But, you know, we feel that we have to come out again and re-begin this fight again, because we've lost everything against this rainbow onslaught.
Yeah, and I mean, rainbow is a real misnomer, isn't it? Because it's really TQ. It's the TQ onslaught. They've tagged, you know, TQ onto the end of LGB, you know, much to the disgust of many lesbian, gay, and bisexual people, which is, you know, which is actually sort of what Lout is, the group you mentioned before, which is called, which is sort of an acronym for Get the L Out. You know, that's a Facebook group. We'll also put that Facebook group in the description below. But yeah, I mean, the rainbow's a misnomer. It's kind of like the ticket, you know, the ticket to get the TQ in everywhere, and that's really what we're talking about. Whenever the rainbow's mentioned, that's what we're talking about. I mean, I'll hark back to when the Human Rights Commission here, which is pretty terrible, did a PRISM report. The PRISM report, it was a couple of years ago, and it was about rainbow people, ostensibly about rainbow people. But in it, they mentioned the word trans 8 times more than the word lesbian. So tell me what that was about.
Yes. See, it is Dunedin Rape Crisis Centre. If you go look at their on the Charities Commission, you will see as soon as they accepted the T, from 15,000 and 20,000, it went up to hundreds of thousands. As soon as the T is involved, the next minute it's the money pot comes in. You can give everyone all the gold in the world, but you cannot get your health back or your good mental health. Without good mental health, life's nothing. And this is a mental health and a physical health destroyer. And all the hoo-ha, you're transphobic, you hate us, you're denying our existence. Please, we can't move for your whinging.
I call that the tweenies, you know, the tweenie stuff, because
you know, I
remember when we were, I mean, I remember as a young teenager, and I talk about at that time between sort of childhood and when you sort of get to be an older teenager and heading into adulthood. I call this as a tweenie time. And I just think there's a lot of arrested development around with people who they seem to be stuck in this tweenie time. And I'm talking about of all ages. You know, there's a bunch of tweenies. That's
this black box. That's this black box we're talking in, I believe, because people think this is a relationship. They think this is a friendship. They think this is real, and it's not. Like I could die tomorrow, and bugger all people online would be bothered about it. Because it isn't a real friendship. Face to face is real. And you know, and just this black box hasn't done our youth, and it hasn't done people any favors. We've gotten really lazy for our information gathering. Critical thinking is something from last century. You know.
Well, it is really so I mean, I remember being, you know, the melodrama, you know, being in the tweenie years, you know, the melodrama, everything was melodrama. I mean, I remember that, and how unreasonable it was, and how unreasonable I thought my parents were. And they just didn't understand anything, and blah, blah, blah.
They were old. What do they know? I do not know one person who enjoyed puberty. I remember it, and I hated it. But I'm really grateful that I got through it unscathed.
So anyway, this is what's great is cool about these rallies that Kellie-Jay Keen, you know, spearheads, is that she's giving a place for women to speak their truth about all this that's happening to them that's sort of negatively impacting them from sort of the TQ policies put in place everywhere. And nobody, well, there's no other recourse. No one else will listen to us. We get this, you know, what was it called? We get discredited by saying, oh, there is no evidence that, you know, that things are happening that are negatively impacting women. And there's no evidence because we are not given the avenues to give evidence. You know, there are no avenues for us to give evidence, to sell our stories or anything like that. Every woman's organisation is captured and will not take, you know, will not listen to, or they might give us a bit of time, but they won't actually take on board anything we say.
No.
They, you know, you can't go any organisation, any service provider that has a policy that allows men who say they're women into women's sessions. You can't complain about that because that's their policy. They're allowed to make that policy. And I will say at this point in time is that they, and even when the sex self-ID comes into law in mid-June this year, no service provider is legally obligated to let men who say they're women into women's spaces. They're not legally obligated. Now, the Human Rights Commission is trying to confuse everybody by saying it's all about gender. It's not. They can, every service provider can still legally provide a single-sex service. If they don't, it's because they don't want to, or they've been intimidated into not doing it, or they're just confused into not doing it. So anyway, so we can't complain about to a service provider if they have allow men into a woman's single sex space, because if that's their policy, they're allowed to make that policy. So having a rally is, you know, public rally is like the only place we have to speak.
Yes, and where else can we go? Like, I'm just so excited, Katrina. We're going to be able to say something honest about, like, for instance, I don't want to take my muko to the swimming pool and have men in there when her and I are getting changed.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't like that.
Yeah, and it's happening.
And it's happening. It's all happening. All these, look at our sports.
Yeah.
You know, sports have said that boys can compete if they're under 12 and haven't gone through puberty. You know, what kind of baloney is this?
Yeah.
Forcing, on one hand, they're going, no, but if you've done this. And this is at community level.
Yeah.
Now community level goes up to the premiers.
Right.
In rugby union, right?
Yeah.
And the premiers are the cream of the crop in that club.
Right.
That is community level.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's good or fair, or, you know, and this is on back on the foot of the New Zealand women's rugby winning the World Cup.
Yeah.
This will be the last year that they've played with women, because men, you know, will men be allowed to train with them and go with them? Are the women teams community level? Or because, you know, I don't know. I don't know.
The community level is where it all starts. You know, you don't suddenly pop into elite level, you know, just but with no grounding in community sports, you know, it doesn't happen. Yeah.
No, hey, it's like a school you'll come through.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, from the bloody, I don't know, Ripper Rugby, I think it's called, with the tags for the kids. For the little guys, and no tackling. So you start off at Ripper Rugby all the way up to premiers. That is community level. Men should not be competing with women, irrelevant of what they think and feel. They're men, because humans can't change sex.
And here in New Zealand, I believe, I mean, these latest guidelines that Sports New Zealand put out late last year, always before Christmas, of course, they Ro Edge from Save Women's Sport Australasia, she was dissecting these guidelines, and she said that basically a man can turn up to a game, say he's a woman for the duration of the game, and then go back to being a man afterward, you know, to say he's a man afterwards.
Yes,
that's what it will allow. Whether it happens or not, I don't know, but we know that the boundaries, you know, I mean, they just get pushed and pushed and pushed.
And you know, with the sports, I don't know, you know, women's sports is dead. We've got Gavin Hubbard.
Kate
We've got
Weatherly.
Anton Weatherly.
Yeah, Anton, I should say. Anton, yes.
Weatherly. And this government's going to make laws to persecute me for saying he's a man. That I'm not allowed to call him Anton because they call that dead naming. You're not dead, bro.
Yeah.
You know, and misgendering.
Yeah.
Why do I have to participate? And the thing that really bugs me is I really want to know from the Rainbow Greens in particular, how can you stand for this? What does a 35-year-old AGP, autogynephilic male have in common with our teenage girls?
Yeah.
Because I can't see any commonality at all.
No.
Oh, sorry, I just went off on one there. Sorry about that. But
yeah, that's okay. I mean, it's easy to do because there's so much to go on.
like with New Zealand sport.
Yeah.
The guidelines aren't compulsory.
Yeah.
But we won't fund you if you don't do it.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
The education department and toilets. It's not compulsory, but you won't get a new toilet block if you don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's mandated.
Yeah, it's coercion, isn't it? Yeah,
it is.
It's sort of quiet coercion. Yeah,
it is, and it, you know, I mean, like we're in Women's History Month, and people are putting men up to speak on women's history because they identify as women.
Yeah,
bro, we don't identify as women; we are women.
Yeah, you know, just. That just jogged my memory. Like, you know, I was listening to someone talking about the laptop class of women who are primarily the ones pushing this, you know, this gender ideology, as in, like, it doesn't really matter if a man says he's a woman, and it really doesn't matter, you know, etc., etc. And then I think about the woman, and I won't say her name, but the woman who stood out at a roundabout, was it yesterday, the day before, with a banner? And it had "Let Women Speak" on it. It was the name of the rally, and she said she got, and it's kind of like in a working class area she was in, you know, or you know, working class, maybe lower middle class, that kind of thing, from memory. And she said she got so many toots and thumbs up, you know, and sort of an acknowledgement and support of her. She was just there by herself, and she said that, you know, she said a car stopped, a group of young guys in it, and they sort of said to her, oh, they just said something to her, and then in the end, you know, they had a little bit of an exchange, and then they were like, yeah, you know, drove away, because they, you know, they're acknowledging this is BS, saying that men can be women and women can have dicks. Yeah.
And because people are so busy trying to pay their mortgage and feed their families, there's just so many fires to put out. Like, you know, we've had the defence bill, another jobs for mates positions, you know. Yeah. We've had the therapeutic bills where they want to take our Māori rongoa and quantify it and all that rubbish. We've had the SIFs, the Oranga Tamariki bill, just wow. There's been so many bills, the BDMRR bill, conversion therapy bill. There's just so many fires. Yeah,
exactly. And it's just, and I mean, it's everything, isn't it? Everything is, as you say, it's just hard. It's just push, because this is getting so entrenched. As I say, the laptop classes, and I will say that I'm probably one of those women, you know, work from home on a computer, you know, but it's them pushing it because the realities of what your physical bodies mean and how they are, so men's and women's bodies are so different, and what they mean out in the, you know, in the brutal world, it's just not, it doesn't touch them so much.
No. Where are these women never going to be in a public space outside of the Kuru Lounge and the boutique shopping where they've got their husbands sitting in their chairs? When are they going to the public pool? When are they going to have to pull over to the public toilet with their children?
Yeah.
Because I'd really like to know how they think this is okay.
Yeah.
Because it isn't okay. You can no longer let your girl, any child actually, but because my muckles are girls, apart from one, you can no longer let them go to the toilet on their own. And you know, that's such a big thing for a little girl, taking herself to the toilet when you're out shopping, and I did it, and I washed my hands, and, you know, no longer. And in school, we've got the, you know, the gender neutral toilets. Girls are losing 12 weeks of school a year because of these gender neutral toilets. This is in the UK and around. This is what the research is coming out with. Why? Because boys are eggs and are haranguing the girls with their mate, with their period. And so it's too embarrassing and shameful, so they take a week off. Girls are not going to urinate in the girls' toilets because boys are in there.
Yeah.
How is this going to affect their bladder when they're older?
Yeah. And who is ever going, any sort of ministry or women's organisation, who's going to listen to us or those girls? None. No one. You have to actually go public with it, and which is what, you know, they're doing. And it's what we're doing, you know, with the Let Women Speak rallies. And, you know, and it's not easy to organise these rallies, you know. I mean, when you see them on YouTube, you know, Kellie-Jay Keen's rallies, you know, she just saunters on up and she just talks there like it's all just a piece of cake. I mean, they are not easy to organise, you know. I mean, as you've been very involved in organising, I mean, you can sort of tell us, you know, like, oh, I mean, the stuff you have to do.
It's been horrendous. Like, we've had to dot every I, cross every T, Katie Pie. Another alphabet comes out, we've got to dot every I and cross every T, Katie Pie, and then another one. So, you know, you can have A, B, C, and D. They find out who we are, and it's no, 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 no. You know, like, so this is a women's rally where they won't give us vehicle access, so we've got to carry everything in. This is a woman's rally. This isn't a men's rally.
Yeah.
And then we get charged more for the setup fees.
Right. Yeah.
We're going to have to try. We tried to reserve parks for the services. Not allowed to do that.
Yeah.
We're trying to advertise, and we just get kicked off. We had, you know, security companies all signed up, and then 2 weeks ago, oh, no, we're busy. You know, it's been quite distressing. All I want is this, you know, how can a group of 30, 40, whatever's 50, 70 women be harmful?
Yeah, exactly.
How can that be harmful and hate speech to speak about our bodies, our issues, and our reality?
Yeah. I mean, it's staggering, really, isn't it, that we're not allowed to, we're supposed to not talk about these because it gets misrepresented as being hateful and harmful. And I would like to know, where is the evidence that any harm has happened to any trans person from women speaking at these rallies? Where's the evidence that there's been a direct link to any harm happening to any trans person? There isn't. There is not one single piece of evidence. You know, it's all hyperbole. You know,
yes, it's all hyperbole. Not one trans person has been killed in New Zealand in the last 10 years.
That's right. It's more than 10 years, really. Yeah.
Yes, you know, and then they're just going, oh, they're the highest risk of suicide, and this really angers me, Katrina, so I might have to swear. The highest suicide youth rate is in Māori.
Yes.
In Māori. It isn't trannies. And how dare they claim that oppression on them?
Right.
How dare they?
Yeah.
Well, our Māori youth. And another thing is that Māori men are doing suicide at 2 a week.
2 a week.
2 a week.
And they're not in the rainbow.
No.
TQ.
No. And so, like I say, this has really angered me. And to have Kitty stand up there pretending that it is the rainbow people sickens me to my core. It sickens me. Our people are dying.
Yeah.
Pardon?
I hope you're listening to this, Kitty.
It sickens me to my core that you are colonising our trauma.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, oh, it just enrages me. And women are killed at a rate of 137 a day globally. How dare you say you're the most vulnerable?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that they claimed this and they got money
Yes.
behind it. And I think that no other group, I think they got the march on us because no other group has come out and said, we're the most this, we're the most that, we're the most whatever. We're saying, groups saying this is happening to us, and here's the numbers of figures, but no one's actually come out and claimed we're the most vulnerable, we're the most marginalized, everything like that. And so they've come in and claimed this, and it's quite clever. It's a very, very clever.
Oh, thanks, Dentons. Thanks, Dentons.
Yes, you're very good, clever marketing, promotion, and of course there's money behind it because otherwise why would it have sort of flown into the mainstream like it has, such a rapid rate of knots?
I'll just, the money. Can I just do my interrupting? But the Rule Foundation, okay, now, Rule, R-U-L-E, he was a homosexual pilot. And he ended up, this is from the 50s, he ended up, committing suicide, but he left a fund for homosexual men in the services, right? In 2019, the government gave the Rule Foundation a $1 million endowment. And then in 21, they were given another 800,000.
Mm-hmm.
And now when you go through the books and the charitable status of these organisations, all that money's going to the T from the homosexual.
Oh.
So yeah, that was my point. It's no longer for gay men or homosexuals. It's all going to the T. If you have a look, you'll see Rule Foundation.
I've seen them as sponsors on different things. Yeah.
Yes, and it began in the 50s for gay men, homosexual men. And that's gone, and that's one that particularly annoys me too, even though I'm not a homosexual man.
Yeah.
Hey,
well, it's almost like a misappropriation of funds, isn't it?
Well, I don't know what else to call it. I didn't know charitable trusts could do investments.
Right. I don't know much about them either.
No, every charitable trust I've ever been involved with was broke. Not that I've run, that I've been involved with or worked for, or was broke. I've worked at jobs where I've had to fundraise my own wage.
I mean that is sort of like, it seems to have been the normal state of sort of, as you say, charitable trusts and that.
Yes.
When I was, I think it was Rainbow Youth, we were looking into them a little while ago about how they are supplying free breast binders to young women, and I think from the age of 13 or 14 upwards, they said something like that, so and no parental knowledge is required or permission is required, and they will provide these. And I'm pretty sure it was Rainbow Youth looked into, they had at that time something like about 19 employees there, and they were advertising for more. And in New Zealand, a medium-sized business starts from 20 employees. So at some stage they had over 20. This Rainbow Youth, I'm pretty sure it's Rainbow Youth we're talking about. So they are a medium-sized business funded by the taxpayer, basically.
Yes. Now, you're right, because all these rainbow groups have got thousands of workers, thousands of dollars, like the Waikato Rainbow Hub. Their third biggest expense outside of staffing and their premises is marketing. Their third biggest expense. The other thing with these rainbow groups that I've discovered is that quite a few of them have links within their site for GoFundMe pages.
Yeah.
So youth can go in there, and I actually just stumbled upon it. you know, because I'm terrible on the computer, and how the hell did I get here? I can't get back there again. I've never found it again, but I know I've read it. This GoFundMe of these young girls wanting to lock their titties off. Now, these aren't zipper tits, mate. They can't be sewing back on. When you grow up in 5 years, you won't be breastfeeding.
Yeah, yeah.
You will not have a choice.
Yeah.
You cannot get chest reconstruction.
Yeah, and isn't there, like, I've heard some women say that there can be actually quite a bit of phantom pain in there.
Oh my goody yarn. Let me talk about that, eh? One of Exelanzic's videos, this young woman.
Right.
Her last memory is the surgeon squeezing her nipple hard. That is her last memory, and that's her phantom pain.
Oh.
So just before surgery, like, you know, we've seen the videos of the anaesthetist who was shoving his cock out of a woman, into sedated women's mouths and all this stuff. Nothing surprises me anymore, I'm sorry to say. So just, these surgeons were in there torturing her while she was under, and her brain remembers, because our body has a cellular memory, is my belief. So she feels that pain. That is the last thing. Her last memory of her breasts are the surgeon putting her nipples in a vice-like grip.
No words.
No, Katrina, you know, like, I've been down these rabbit holes. I will speak.
Yeah.
And I'm really sorry this is ugly, but people need to know this is a surgical, medical movement of malfeasance. They are trying to make us into body parts, so then we won't matter.
Look, Di, I think the ugliness has to be talked about. The world is not a kind place, and I think we're getting bamboozled by this. You know, the TQ are all about, oh, be kind, be nice to us, be kind, you know, and everything like that. And we're getting kind of like, it's kind of like a they're putting a veil over it. The fact that, you know, that be kind, give us all this, give us all that. It's just being kind, it's just being nice, it's just, you know, everything. And putting a veil over the fact that life is not kind, and that underneath, you know, like everything they want, it might be quite brutal to other people, you know, or there might be quite brutal results, as you say, like the double mastectomies that young girls go under the belief that somehow it's going to give them the body they want, it's going to give them the life they want, it's going to change their life for the better, all that sort of thing. And I mean, I know we get, you know, some people on the internet saying, oh no, yes, it was wonderful, it's exactly what I want. Now I know that there are some people whose mental condition is such that, yes, if they change their bodies, they will feel a lot more at home in that body if they change some of the external appearance of it. I do understand that, but that is not the majority of what we're seeing now. That's not what's going on now. This is just like this whole industry saying, yeah, change your body because then you'll feel a lot happier. And all it really was is that they just had to change a bit of what was going on up here.
Yeah, the New Zealand government is so stupid that in the, you know, conversion therapy practices bill, that this trans identity for children is in 8, and they just know it.
Yeah,
and yet in
right.
the BBMRR, you can change your sex every year, bro.
Yeah.
As an adult. So what is it? Is it an 8? Or is it something you can do yearly, like seasons?
Yes, that's right. Yes, they really give mixed messages to us there, don't they?
Yes, I've lost all respect for the government. I do not have to respect people that are selling mine and my grandchildren's rights out for the sake of pornified, deluded men. Because that's who's running this.
And they're the ones who turn up to the rallies as counter-protests, don't they?
Oh my kidding aunt.
Yeah.
All these men yelling at old ladies.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, excuse me, bloody, I'm going to ring your mother, you know. I've never struck it, and I've been protesting all my life, you know. I've been on heaps of protests. I have never been so disrespected since this movement, ever.
Yeah.
And it's young men getting up in your face, young men throwing, you know, cream pies out women. Next time it's going to be acid, Katrina.
And you know, they wouldn't, what I know with every fibre of my being is that they would not be there doing this if it was men speaking.
That's right.
They would not be there, you know. They're only brave because it's women.
Yes.
It's women speaking at these
rallies. They're bullies.
Yeah.
They're bullies. And that's how I feel about the Rainbow Greens. They're trying to bully us into silence, using their political might to shut women up. What?
Yeah.
Can you hear yourselves?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
I mean, going back to the Rainbow Greens and that letter that they, you know, it's just that letter they've written to the immigration minister to, you know, revoke Kellie-Jay Keen's visa into New Zealand, which I will say at this point in time is that as a UK citizen, she gets the right to visit New Zealand for 6 months without a visa. So they
lovely.
I didn't even get that right. So she does. There are some conditions that she has to sort of, you know, adhere to come in here. Any UK citizen. But you know, what are they afraid of? If what they are saying is so true and so correct and everything, what are they afraid of what we might say? What are they afraid of? I mean, we do not incite harm. We speak our truth. Women speak their truth at these rallies. What's happening to them? If they can't handle that, hearing about what's happening to them, experiences and stuff like that, what do? They just try and shut us down.
Yeah. Don't come. Yeah, don't come. Bring your mother. Your mum's a turf. Hey. But and they come in masks and bandanas. They think it's a movie. It's not a movie. Real woman will be really hurt. Your mum will be hurt. Your nan will get hurt if this isn't pulled in. Your sister, your niece, your daughter. Yeah.
I mean, my thing is, you know, you hear a lot about, you know, evidence. You know, we want evidence. You know, and I think no woman or girl should ever have to go into a female space and wonder if there's going to be a man in there today.
That's right.
Never. That is, you know, that is just kills the freedoms that we fought for. And going back to what you're saying about, you know, little girls when they get old enough and you can send them to the toilet on their own. You know, part of the growing up, the independence, the developing and that, and now you have to wonder, is there going to be a man in there this time?
Is she going to be safe? Because, and you know, porn isn't spoken about enough in this movement. You know, evidence, they only got to open their eyes for evidence. I mean, Matthew Richard Nelson, say his name, Electra Pandora, is in a woman's prison. He stabbed people up. His ex collapsed her lung, but they've put her in a woman prison. Now, at the moment, I don't know if people understand how New Zealand prisons are running, but the woman's prison is so understaffed that there's a lot of time in your cell, in your unit. Right. And all these people who agree with these men, like the Shane Winters and Rory Francis going into women's prison, I really want them to tell me, where do the women go that are incarcerated to escape these men?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I really want to know that. Yeah, and I don't know.
Shane Winter isn't in a women's prison, I believe, but is it
not yet?
Matthew Richardson, is that his name? The man
Matthew Richards Nelson,
who I mean, who stabbed the 3 people in the Hamilton restaurant. I mean, he was out to kill his ex. He didn't manage it. He was out to kill her.
And reading the corrections documentation, by their own, I guess it's a policy, is that you cannot be considered to go to the prison for your gender of choice if you have offended against your gender of choice in the last 7 years.
Is it in the policy? I thought it was only if it's a sexual offence. I thought they drew the line that if it's a sexual offence, you can't go to the women's prison. But is it just
7 years? Well, that comes through on one of my OIAs, because I've done a few to the prison because that pisses me off. But yes, I understand Shane Winter isn't in a woman's prison yet.
Yeah.
He can apply after 7 years, according to their own documentation I've read. Now, for those of you that don't know Shane Winter, he tortured Demetrius, now it's Pirama or Pihama, I get them wrong, sorry, Demetrius, rest in peace, but she was 17, a Māori street kid, special needs, and he tortured her for a month of always a torture, you know, not just beating her up and everything, but the psychological, the emotional, the sexual, the physical. And then he gave her a choice of her way to die. Do you want me to stab you or hang you? And then he tried to burn her body in a 40-gallon drum. This man will be eligible to go to a woman's prison. And where are the women? Where are the women going to? Because he says he's a woman. That's all. And I think that's part of what, you know, this marketing's been so clever. But when people say all you have to do is say you're a woman, I don't think they understand that that is it. So the man can be fully bearded, in his work overalls, in his steel caps, with his dick hanging out and call himself a woman. And that gives him space, the right to come into our spaces where women and children are, and they're doing it. And because, they're doing it.
As soon as the boundaries start getting relaxed, start getting softened, they just get pushed at.
They get pushed back. And this rainbow rubbish, you know, look, I saw a Windstone aggregates truck with a rainbow on it. You know, like it's a corporate wash. Talk about it. So that company's paid their $20 fee to be rainbow friendly. I don't think they're going to have much rainbow people working for them because it's actually work.
Not in rainbow in the way that we know it now, which, as I said before, is basically the TQ.
Yes.
Yeah, so
such high maintenance whiners.
Yeah, I can imagine them pouring concrete.
Oh my getting out, like, you know, and like the schools, they're teaching our children, they're taking the words out of our children's mouths.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know much about Māori culture. I mean, I've admitted that, but from from talking to you from time to time, and I've learned, you know, more and more, and you know, Māori had very defined roles for women and men, very defined roles. You know, I'm actually wearing one of your T-shirts. I'll just
nice,
put it down.
Lovely.
If you can see that. Yeah, these two T-shirts. I mean, I'll put in the link below where they can get them from. But yeah, I just tell us a little bit about this.
So, well, first we wrote to Posey Parker to ask her if we could do this in our language, and she gave us her blessings, and then offered us her designer, which was really cool. We said, no, thank you. So Tracy Bass designed our shirts, and it's a stylized hui. Hui is a gourd.
A gourd, right.
A gourd.
Like a water vessel.
A water carrier, music, and we used to preserve food and then make music and water carriers. Now, the Northland iwi have stories about the kowai being born out of the gourd in the moonlight.
And the kowai is
my chin moko, and only women wear it. So, but that's Northland. You see, Māori are not homogenous. We're not all one group. What's fine in my iwi could be really kawa, really sour to another iwi. It's not the same. So, like, you know, Northland, the karanga, men can karanga, but it's not called a karanga. It's a whakahoki, return call. Right. That's up there. So it's all the iwis are different, and we have our own, like, some of us even have different cosmology legends and stuff. We're not all the same. And because it's just been so watered down, like I was talking to you the other day, like, you know, most New Zealanders know Tāne Mahuta, who that is, you know, the god of the forest. We all know that. But then under that is that every type of tree, whether it's a fern, whether it's hardwood, whether it's softwood, whether it's a fungi, whether it's broadleaf, softleaf, swordleaf, you know, they have their own demi-deities or something under them as well. You know, it's almost like it was a very complex hierarchical system.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, and so almost. But like, so our design, you'll see that we've done the inside red,
Yeah, yeah.
Because Te Awa Atua, the river of blood, we're Wāhine tangata, the house of humility, Te Wharimāhana, the house of the ancestors. So when we have our periods, our mate, we're releasing the unborn ancestors into the river. So with the blood, so that's why it's red. And you'll see in the bottom that we've got Wāhine in red, because we bleed. We bleed, women bleed, and we're not ashamed of our life-giving properties. Well, we weren't until we got colonised and it all got lost and everything. So yeah, you know, and trying to bring it back, you know, even in the cervical smear campaign, it's smear your mare. Well, mare is thing.
Is it?
Yes. Thing. Smear your thing. So even in the translation and everything, the celebration of coming into womanhood and the responsibilities and the roles that brings have been colonised and squashed.
Yeah.
So and I believe that for all, you know, a lot of cultures would have had their menstruation rituals.
Look, I think even though this homogenization is a sort of like a more of a modern European thing, you know, Pakeha as a white person thing. Even for us, I don't think it's working that well. I don't think the melting pot approach is working that well. You know, I think we have to acknowledge we have worlds within worlds.
Yes, worlds within worlds. I love it because, you know, how I speak could be very sour to another iwi. But I'm Northland. We were the first to contact, last to stop eating each other, first to sign, all sorts, you know. Yeah. And then so the worlds within worlds within worlds. And then all the intertribal stuff. It's very, very complex as I'm learning. And I'm learning. I'll be learning my culture and decolonising till the day I die.
Yeah.
And I'll never get it right. You know, and that's
there's always more to learn. Yeah, always more to learn. Yeah.
More to learn.
That's actually like, sometimes it can feel like an exasperating thing, but other times you just sort of think it's a wondrous thing.
Yes. Yes. And I've had more wondrous times, you know, when I've learned the tūturu, the real meaning of words, as opposed to what's being taught now, because it's way different. And I know a lot of tūturu speakers and sovereign people. Like, I know lots of sovereign people, and that doesn't mean they're free. Sovereign as in free, it's sovereign as in native.
Yes.
And so if I talk about sovereign people, I'm talking about people that don't get a benefit, that take no government money, and they do everything themselves and live on their own land.
Okay.
That's what I'm referring to. And, you know, I was with my cousins in Parihaka at Christmas. They're sovereign.
Right.
And all their records are kept in the marae book. The marae holds all the records of the, you know, hatch, match and dispatch, so to speak.
Yeah.
And there is hundreds of Māori.
They're thriving?
Well, as well as you can with being poor. Because although we're on our land, we're not allowed to raise money off the land. You can't get mortgages or loans or anything off it. Like there's a lot of I call it hamstringing regulations. You know, whereas we just think, oh, it's my land, don't tell me what to do.
It's very interesting, isn't it? I mean, being poor is not a great, you know, it's not a great place to be, but you know, being free is.
Yes. So, you know, they work all the hours that they're sent, and any jobs, they'll just work it. So, and there's hundreds of people doing this, and you know, people aren't aware, but I know quite a few sovereign as in natives, not freedom. So that's where, you know, lost in translation.
Yes. And talking a bit about that, like Māori culture was an oral culture, wasn't it, before before the Pakeha arrived? And do you think that, from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what I understand about oral cultures is that when the stories are passed down, not one word could be changed. Not one single word could be changed from you know, like the
Well,
person.
I believe that's how it was, like this, scouts, whatever you
Yeah.
call them, you know,
Yeah.
oral traditions, you know, that's why I get a bit hoha about tying us into the tauiwi realm, because, you know, I'm used to listening to elders,
Mm.
you know, like that tick box list, you know, always listen to your auntie, even if she's not yours,
Even if she's
of
not
the
your
isms,
auntie.
the Kiwiisms in that, and it's true. You know,
Yeah.
like if we're on the marae, auntie says something, you just do it. There's no questioning.
Yeah.
Auntie's not speaking to hear her own voice.
Yes. Yes.
She's
So
got to, Auntie's got to this position by years of hard work.
yeah. Yeah.
You know, she spent years being told what to do.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, you
So,
know. And
I mean, I was talking to my sister earlier, and we were discussing how, you know, how young women, you know, or young people just sort of, you know, like when they're pushing for certain things, they don't look at it with a deeper and wider lens. And I said, and that's fine. I said, that's what young people should do. I said, it's up to us. It's the older people who've been in the world for a while, have been through lots of sort of experiences, you know, good and
yes,
bad, and that we've learned that you look at things with a deeper and wider lens than just what's in front of your nose, you know, and
yes,
that's
yeah.
why. And I mean, as a young person, no, I don't want to listen to older people either, you know, because you know, like
No,
because they just, you know, they just want to stop you doing stuff. You know?
fun stuff. They just want to stop you having fun. They don't
Yeah,
know anything to your role. I mean, that's normal, isn't it?
yeah,
To
yeah.
be,
That
you
is
know,
normal,
and
but you know,
yeah,
you
it
don't.
is.
You have to. You just have to get past that, you know. And even though you don't like it, that you have to do what the older people say. The older people just have that deeper, wider view of things, and
And that, yeah, it
um,
is. That's quite funny.
yeah, I know. And what was
But I don't think they're going to be able to do that, Katrina, because they're dumbing, you know, everyone's been dumbed
mm,
down and they're losing that critical thinking skills. Like it used to be a big thing to triangulate your information,
yeah, yeah, and now
but it's
it's
not anymore. I hardly ever see that word.
yeah.
And yeah, you know,
And
make sure all you.
explain that word to us, Di. Yeah,
Okay, well, I got taught when I was doing my bloody papers that if you have to triangulate your information. You must get the information from 3 different sources before you even think it's real.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And to even begin to think it's real or put it out as
yeah.
real, you
And
must have 3. Yeah,
now if it's on the internet,
it's
it's
real.
yeah.
And
And
the,
what I
the
laugh about now is
information,
like
oh,
sometimes I've heard a couple of stories now about, you know, like in businesses, um, the older staff may want to do something, and then they say, oh, but we're never going to get it past the junior staff because it'll be like transphobic or hateful or something like that. And so
yeah.
and so they have to kind of sneak around and do it without the junior staff knowing. And I laugh and laugh because I think I used to be the opposite way around once, you know.
Yes, yes.
The
And
junior staff, you know, to sneak around and try and get stuff done before the older staff did.
hey, full circle.
Yeah.
It's just so weird, Katrina. It's so weird that this is happening. I never thought I'd have to fight to call myself a woman.
Oh,
I never thought that the bathrooms that I'd be put back on a urinary leash and not be
no.
able to go to bathrooms. I
Mm,
never thought that children would be targeted like this. I mean, as adults, whether you've got kids or not, you know, just because we're tribal. I mean, if you see a kid about to run onto a road and a truck's coming, you're going to grab that kid.
yeah. Yeah.
You're not going to go, oh, that's not my child. Oh, splat. Are you? Hey,
No, not normally. No.
no. But everything's it's kind of just turned on its head.
Yeah.
And you're calling me hateful and bigoted and transphobic while calling us all these horrible names that aren't even real and true.
Mm,
I mean, trans rights are human rights. Well, what rights haven't they got? They've got the same human rights as everyone else. Having a
yeah.
baby isn't a human right.
No.
Surgery isn't a human right. Prisoner choice isn't a human right. Sports isn't a human right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's right. Once you start digging down into it, it's like it's wants.
It's wants.
Yeah.
And even in their last march they did on the 11th of February, it was the week before or the week after the bloody cyclones we've had, you know, it's written trans demands.
Yeah.
That's exactly what they are. They are demands. New Zealand is prescribing puberty blockers at 10 times more the rate than the UK. 10 times.
I read that. I mean, what a scandal. Yeah.
It's terrible. And they're being put out as, well, the government used to say they were safe and irreversible, but they've softened that stand a bit. But they're still not telling the truth that these are being prescribed off license. These are drugs used for prostate cancer. This drug is used for endometriosis, precocious puberty, and to chemically castrate sex offenders. Yeah. And they're giving this to our youth at 10 times the rate. And they don't have to tell their parents because they've got secret closets in schools.
And somehow or another, the young people are deemed to be mature enough to know that this is what they want now and forever.
Yes, but this is a forever decision. You cut your boobies off, that's forever. Young man, you tuck your penis and go get it flayed, that is forever. Yeah. You ain't never getting your dick back, bro, and you'll never orgasm. That's, these people lose 10% of their intelligence because of these strong, wrong sex hormones. They're losing intelligence. The young girls are hitting osteoporosis in their 20s.
Yeah, yeah. And the young men.
And 10% of their intelligence is gone. It shrinks their brain. Like, this isn't all glitter and rainbows. They are harming people. But because of the very clever, expensive marketing, we're pushing shit uphill and people think we're hateful.
Yeah, the marketing is extraordinarily clever. It's simple. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to understand it. It's simple, it's targeted, and just plain everyday language. It makes it sound as though, you do this thing and it'll be lovely. Life will be lovely.
Life isn't lovely. Life isn't fair. And most people are assholes. Surprise.
I mean, you do learn that you cannot make the environment around you change to suit yourself. No. There's maybe a little bit of that you can do, but primarily you have to change yourself to fit into your environment, or whatever, something like that.
And the harm. And so now that the government stopped saying they're irreversible, the other thing that's happening, people might want to know, is it's coming out of the DHB budgets. Okay, like I'll talk a bit about Northland, all right? Their budget, their DHB. And now, see, the problem with this, Katrina, is that we've gone from being DHBs to this whatu order or some bullshit.
I'll just interrupt you for a second. The DHB are the district health boards.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we don't have them anymore. We now have whatu order.
Yes.
And there's meant to be no boundary. So as far as I'm concerned, this change has come about for nefarious reasons and to hide statistics.
Okay.
Is my belief, because when I go into the old DHB in Northland, I find that, oh, look, they're sending binders out. Oh, look, out of the plastic surgery budget. Oh, look, they're harvesting eggs and sperm. Oh, and using fertility associates. All for nothing. I know half a dozen young couples that have had to pay $20,000 to have a child and have this happen for them. And it's been harvested for nothing for the rainbow crowd, because they know they are doing irreversible harm and these people will not be able to procreate. So they're going to have to use their frozen sperm, their frozen eggs, and, oh, look, use a woman's body as a surrogate. That is the only way they will procreate. And it's quite odd, Katrina, through my reading, they're actually collecting more sperm than eggs, because I think the eggs is going in the sell your eggs basket.
Ah, right.
As a,
right.
like, you know, we've got, was she Norwegian, saying that, oh, a Norwegian scientist, why don't we impregnate women in comas and use them as surrogates?
Oh, yes, I did see something about that. Yeah.
At the same time, they're trying to tell us that men, Tims, trans-identified men, will in the future be able to carry babies. What a load of shit, of course they won't. Where are they going to have the baby from? They're going to shit it out their ass? Or is it going to fucking explode their dick? That's
Yeah.
lies. Brainwashing lies. Men, there's 15%, I think the percentage is, that if you gave these men blood from a woman who's been pregnant, it will kill them.
Kill them.
It will kill them. There's a percentage of men this will happen to. It's kind of like sex matters.
Well, it's sounding a bit like that, Di. Yeah.
Hey.
So you think that sex might actually matter?
Hey, you know, so
Yeah.
just, and all this harvesting of sperm and no eggs, and then I read the eggs are being, you know, sold over here, like in America and stuff. I don't know if it's hit here yet, but they're targeting the university students to sell their eggs to fund their study.
Ah, yes, I've heard that
Now,
too.
see,
Yeah.
I find this very, very creepy, because we come as a baby, we land here with a set amount of eggs, and when they're gone, they're gone. We will not produce any more.
Yes.
So when you get all these hormones to these young girls to pay for their study, and they flood all these eggs, they have no idea of knowing if that's all the eggs she's got.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so it's just, they hates us. They seriously hates us.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Well, I tell you, I mean, you know, that's why we need these rallies.
That's why we need these rallies.
Because this is the only place we can talk about these.
You know, like I'm on my 13th Facebook profile. I'm on my 4th Twitter profile for truth speaking. We need these rallies so New Zealand, because, you know, you and I were brought up in New Zealand. We know Kiwis, as, you know, as a general rule. Kiwis aren't going to be home to this, bro, when they see the truth.
No. Look,
like you look.
Yeah.
Look at the ratios on Twitter. It's changed.
Yeah.
There has been a change. Like on that Rainbow Greens open letter, that had nearly 19,000 views. 3 comments on it were from themselves, from the Rainbow Greens, and only 100 and something, you know, likes.
146 likes or something like that. Yeah.
Out of 19,000. And so people are waking up, but because we've been blacklisted, like ManaWāhineKōrero sent 160 letters to the MPs, and all we got was automatic responses. No, I don't think that's good enough. That is not good enough. You're in there on the taxpayer's dime. You answer to us.
That's right. And if you won't listen to us through official channels, then we're going out into the world. We're going out into the public square and talking.
Yes, that's what we have to do, because I mean, I think 5 years I've been writing letters on this shit. You've been in it longer, or, you know, thereabouts the same. You know, like stand up for women, all the resist gender education, fully informed. There's lots of groups. There is a group for everyone.
Yeah, and for
Gender
those
critical.
interested in finding those groups, the Speak Up for Women website does have a list of them under the and in one of their tabs. They list them as gender critical groups, whether or not you agree with that description. But yes, the Speak Up for Women website does have a list of groups that you can go and find out about. Well, Di, all I can say is that I'll be welcoming Kellie-Jay Keen with open arms here. She is absolutely welcome in this land of ours.
Yes. No, hi there, Kelly.
Absolutely.
Come.
100%. Yeah. Hey, look, it's been great talking. Absolutely great. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and thank you for speaking to me. And we'll do it again.
Awesome, Katrina. Thank you. Modi order.